Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Dave, and we're the IB English guys. Before we start, Andrew, I got 3 questions for you, very simple. Question number 1, why did we start this YouTube channel?
Mr. Giles, we started this YouTube channel because as examiners, we noticed a lot of teachers and students were confused, and we wanted to help people out, give them free content so they could get better scores.
That's great. So then, why did you actually build a website? What was that all about?
Mr.
'Cause that was
Giles,
kind of your brainstorm.
Yeah, it's hard to organize things on YouTube, so we thought moving things over to a website, we could organize things by components, by criteria, by skills, and just help people find things in a much more efficient way. We could also provide things for teachers that we thought would help them too.
So what specifically is on the website that would be helpful?
For students, we have exam review courses. For teachers, we have units and other resources. We have teacher training, downloadable courses, and workshops coming. Mr. Giles, the thing's loaded.
Yeah, you're
Come on,
blowing my
anyway,
mind.
what are we doing
Okay.
today? What are we doing?
All right, today we want to talk about the IO. We're fresh off the IO, and we've got some ideas and just some suggestions for you. We want to talk about signposting and transitions. We think this is so important. Why is it so important to have signposts?
Mr. Giles, this isn't a written essay where the examiner can see where you're going. You know, we can't see, so you have to make sure you really guide them step by step clearly so they can see how you're progressing through your argument. Otherwise, without those signposts, we get lost sometimes.
Yeah, so whether you like it or not, there are sort of 6 parts of the IO, 7 if you include the question and answer. We have an introduction. We have to zoom in on our extract. We have to zoom out on the work as a whole. Then we have to zoom in on our second extract. And then we have to zoom out on our body of work as a whole for our second text. And finally, we want to hit a conclusion.
Mr.
That's
Giles,
6 pieces.
There's so many moving parts here. Again, without the signposts, imagine you're driving down the road without signs, without maps. You can't figure out where you're going. So that's why we need this.
You're taking your listener on a journey, so you've got to help them.
Let's talk about the introduction, Mr. Giles. How can we get the examiner, how can we get them into our IO to start?
Yeah, we like sentence stems. You know, with the introduction, we like to have those strong sentence stems, so we're making it very clear. So for example, you might say, you know, I'm going to be focusing on the field of inquiry of science, technology, and nature, and the global issue of corporate ethics having an negative environmental impact. So we're going to focus on that global issue. The sentence stem will help.
Yeah, they do help, and as examiners, we don't like it when we have to stop and listen to that over and over again. So make sure you really set off that global issue with some clear signposting, okay? Mr. Giles, once we've kind of taken through the introduction, let's say that the student wanted to start by going into the extract first. How could they notify the examiner that that's where they're headed? How could we signpost that?
Yeah. Simple way is just to say it directly. And now let's examine the extract that I've chosen for my literary work. That signal is telling me that we're going to now talk about the extract. I think it's really important. Sometimes students forget to do that. They start saying in line number 1, well, you should have probably let me know that you're going to the extract. So just simply to say, oh yeah, now let's examine the literary extract.
Yeah, and then
boom, you're in the extract.
Yeah, but follow up by then. First, I'd like to examine the literary extract, provide a brief summary, situate it, then get into that in line 1, signpost that thing, right?
That's right.
Once we've done that, we've talked about the extract, we have to talk about the work or the body of work as a whole. How can we do that?
Okay, so if we've just talked about the extract and now we're going to talk about the work as a whole, sometimes you might say, okay, now that we've looked at the extract, let's examine the work as a whole. That took about 5 seconds for me to say, but I'm letting the listener know, okay, we've looked at the extract, now let's look at the work as a whole. You're just signaling, again, signposting that you're going on to the next thing.
Yeah, now once you hit about the 5-minute mark, Mr. Giles, you want to stay balanced. Then we need to transition to that text 2. How can we signpost that? How do we let the examiner know that's where we're headed?
Okay, you could do the same thing, okay? We see the global issue in my first literary text, but we also see the global issue of corporate ethics in my second non-literary text. So you're just signaling that you're going from one to the other. Again, if you watch the clock, you have your balance, so you're around the 5-minute mark, you know, okay, time for my signpost. I'm going to hit my non-literary text or my second text.
Yeah, then when you hit about the 7:30 mark, you're going to make that other transition to talk about the work as a whole or the body of work as a whole with a very clear transition or signpost. And ultimately around the 10-minute mark, maybe 9:30, Mr. Giles, you want to get to that conclusion. How do you notify the examiner that you're wrapping this baby up?
Well, with those simple things like in conclusion, or we see both texts exploring, we're going to say something to show that we're going to then talk about how both of those texts echo that same global issue. I would definitely want to go back to my global issue, but again, to say to conclude or in conclusion, to me, it just signals that I'm organized, I'm on my times, and I'm hitting my conclusion. I was amazed at how majority of my students hit their conclusion this time. They were just really on it, and
They must be watching some videos.
I don't know, or I just drilled it into their heads, like hit your conclusion, guys, because it shows me that you're organized and you're hitting your 10, and then you're signaling to the teacher, okay, buddy, you better get ready for some questions. So that helped me know that okay, they're concluding at the right time. I don't need to interrupt them. Let them finish, and then I can go in and ask
Folks,
some questions.
In closing, we feel like Criterion C is something you can really get a firm grasp on as a student. Use good signposts, watch the clock, hit all the essential parts, and there's no reason you shouldn't push C into the higher mark bands, okay? If you need more signposts, you can go into the website. You'll find plenty of other supporting documents there, but we wanted to just refresh and say, hey, signposting is important. Don't let your examiner get lost.
Yeah, to conclude, we hope you enjoyed the video, and please keep watching, and we'll keep making crazy videos and do the best we can.
Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.